Welcome guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to discuss about the TCP congestion control. The main service is available with the TCP, this trans, transport layer. So let's start with the congestion control. So here, before this video, we have discussed about the definitions of all the services provided by the transport layer, or specifically in TCP. So here, congestion control is one of the main function of transport layer and specifically TCP. Here, congestion is a situation in which too many sources over a network attempt to send data and the router buffers start overflowing, due to which the loss of packet occurs. So it means on the network, at a, on the network, if the data flow is going to be very high, that time definitely there will be a congestion occur. So congestion in the network may occur if a load on the network increases. So definitely, so this is what the one of the reason. So to have to increase the congestion on the network. So if the congestion increase, or let's say load increase, the congestion occur. So that time, so it is going to be a kind of overflowing on that particular path. Situations occur. Then, as a result to congestion, again the retransmission of the packet from the source increases the congestion further. This situation also happens. In this situation, the transport layer provide the congestion control in different way. So it means once the congestion occur, so sender may get thought of, may get think of what key receiver have not received that my packets. So it is my responsibility to retransmit again. So again, retransmission of this particular packets again creating a chaos on the network, and that is going to be again increasing the uh, traffic, and then ultimately it's going to be increasing the congestion. So here there can be multiple reasons for the congestion. Congestion reason can be high flow of load, slow start acceptance, can be load, it can be traffic, or it can be abnormality in the flow, such as accidental during the rush hours, or maybe creating blockage. Let's say if we have a road, and on the road there are too many vehicles are passing, vehicles are passing. That time, if the rules are not going to be followed, so definitely there will be a congestion, and choke up can be occur. This is what the definition of congestion. Now, here there is a technique available. Congestion control refer to the technique and mechanism that can either prevent congestion before it happening or remove the congestion after it happened. So there are two techniques. So before happening congestion, some remedy to be provided, and after happening the congestion, some policies to be there. Okay. So there are two techniques available in this transport layer. Let's take one by one. So here very first, what we have, open loop congestion control policy. This is what the first policy. In this open loop congestion policy, the policies are applied to prevent the congestion before it happens. So before happening any congestion, the policy is already deployed, and that policy called as what the open loop congestion control policy. In this mechanism, congestion control is handled by either by source or destination. This is not compulsory to handle by the source only or destination. It can be handled by source or destination both. There are some policies are available. There can be retransmission policy if the congestion occur. Uh, before congestion occur, the sender can think that the packet may loss, and the retransmission can be done at the source side also. There will be a Windows policy. Here selective repeat windows and go back NRQ for congestion control are going to be used, where selective repeat is the best one, and the go back NRQ, go back N window. Third will be acknowledgement policy. If the receiver does not acknowledge every packet it received, it may slow down the sender and help prevent to congestion. So in that case, the special timer expired. After that timer expired, the acknowledgement policy is going to be deployed. Then will be discarding policy. If any, what we can say, the packet is very erroneous or something abnormal, that is better to be discarded that, so that it cannot be make a part of that particular congestion. Admission policy, don't allow any others to get the participation in that traffic. So these are the some policies are available with the open loop congestion control. There is a second policy, a second mechanism, and that is what the closed loop congestion control. In this closed loop congestion control mechanism, try to elevate the congestion after it happens. So after happening the congestion, it is going to be providing some kind of mechanism, and that is what the closed loop congestion policy. In several mechanisms have been used by the different protocols. For example, the back pressure. Back pressure is a technique in which the congested node stop receiving packet from the upstream node. So here from the upstream node, it is going to be stop the receiving the packets so that it can reduce the traffic. This may cause the upstream node or nodes to become the congested and rejects the receiving data from the above node. So it means what? If I'm already if node is, let's say, choke up, so it is better to stop that particular traffic from the upper stream. So that is what the back pressure. There would be second also, a choke packet technique. Choke packet technique is applied to both virtual networks as well as the datagram subnets. The packet is a packet sent by the node to the source to inform it of congestion. So let's say there is a receiver and there is a sender. If any congestion occur at the receiver end, so it is duty to of the receiver to give the reply to the source that the congestion has been occurred. Can you better to please slow down your flow? So these are the two main policies are available in this congestion control. So let's say now here, after discussing this congestion control definition and the main policies, what we have in TCP, the congestion control is based on the open loop and the closed loop. Here, the TCP uses the congestion window and congestion policy that avoid the congestion and detect and elevate the congestion after it has occurred. So here, the congestion window and congestion policy, these are the two concepts mainly used for this open loop and the closed loop mechanism. So let's take one by one. Now here, the congestion window. The sender window size is determined by the available buffer space in the receiver. That is receiver. This RWND is what the receiver window. Now, at the client end, the receiver that can dictate to the sender the size of the window, that is sender window. So at the client end also, it is possible to dictate the sender window size. And at the network end also, if the network cannot deliver the data as fast as it created by the sender, it must tell the sender to slow down the rate. So at the both the end, at the client end as well as the network end, it is possible to dictate that particular receiver window. In other words, addition to the receiver, network is second entity that determine the size of the sender window. So ultimately, here, let's say receiver and the sender. So receiver have the choice and have the rights to decide the sender window size. It means what? Key receiver can announce their window, how far that receiver can going to accept the size of the data packets. So that size of the window is going to be announced by the receiver. As well as it is also possible to have detect or maybe announced by the network itself. So at the both the end, it is possible. It is good sign to that particular congestion control controlling mechanism. The sender has two pieces of information. Very first is the receiver advertised window size, and second would be congestion window size. So here, out of this, the actual size of the window is minimum of these two. So formula will be actual window size which is equal to minimum of receiving window or maybe the congestion window. Okay, whichever the minimum one will be the actual size of the congestion actual size of window. So this is what the congestion window. Second would be the congestion policy. Here there are three policies or three phases are available. TCP general policies for handling congestion are based on three phases. Very first, slow start. Second will be congestion avoidance, and third will be congestion detection. So let's take one by one. So here in this slow start mechanism in this policy, uh, the slow start algorithm is based on the idea that the size of the congestion window, that is CWND, start with the one maximum segment size, that is MSS. Okay, MSS stand for maximum segment size. The MSS is determined during the connection establishment using an option of the same name. So during the connection establishment in the TCP, the MSS size will be declared or be decided. The size of the window increase one MSS each time one acknowledgement has been arrived. So if at a while sending, if we are sending one, then we are receiving the acknowledgement one. So the size of the window is going to be increased. Assume that the receiving window is much longer than the congestion window, so that the sender window size always equal to the congestion window. In the slow start phase, sender start with the slow rate of transmission, but it increase the rate rapidly to reach to the threshold value. When the threshold is reached, the rate of increasing is reduced. So it works on the three principles. Particularly, start with the slow rate that increases rapidly, exponentially, and once it reaches to the threshold value, it is going to be decreased that particular flow. Okay. Finally, if your your congestion is detected, the sender goes back to the slow start or congestion avoidance phase based on the how the congestion is detected. So let's take one example to understand this uh, particular policy. So here, initially the size of that particular congestion window is one. After that, it is going to be increased exponentially. So 2 to the power 1, that is what 2, then 2 to the power 2, that is what the 4, 2 to the power 3, that is what the 8. So to understand better to this particular, let's have one graph. Now here we can say at initials level, here there is a sender and here there is a receiver. What it has predicted over here. So initially the congestion window size is 1. So, okay, from the sender it is sending to the receiver. That receiver is receiving. After receiving by the receiver, it is going to be sent the acknowledgement during this particular. So sender and then receiver having the acknowledgement. Then after receiving this acknowledgement, the size of the window is going to be increases that exponentially. So initially it was one, right now it is two. So it's sending two packets now. It's sending two packets now. As a reply, as a request to these two packets, it's sending two replies. So now two acknowledgement have received. Now the size of congestion window will be four. Then again it's sending four packets and it receiving the four acknowledgement. So now the congestion window size will be eight. So in this fashion, the exponential growth is available in this slow start, that is also called as exponential increase. Okay, in this slow start algorithm, the size of the congestion windows increase exponentially until it reaches to the threshold. So this is what the main note available over here. I hope this example is clear to you, where in the slow start, it is starting with the slow, that is initially value will be 1, let's say, and then it is going to be increased exponentially at the power value. So this is what the slow start. Let's take the second policy of congestion avoidance, that is additive increases. In the slow start algorithm, the size of the congestion window increases exponentially, as we have discussed. Okay, to avoid the congestion before it happens, one must slow down this exponential growth. So if he increases this growth exponentially, so definitely it will be drastically increasing the congestion window size. So it is better to avoid that drawback over here of the slow start algorithm. So TCP defined another algorithm called the congestion avoidance, which increase the congestion window additively instead of exponentially. So instead of having the 2 to the power value into the 2 to the power value, it is better to have the additive, that is what plus 1. It is what the better than the 2 to the power n value. So here, if we see in this diagram, so initially the congestion window size is of what, let's say 4, I is equal to 4. What we are sending from the sender to receiver, so we are sending the 4 packets. Receiver will receive that all the 4 packets, and then receiver will acknowledge that packets. Okay, after the receiving have sent the acknowledgement, what sender will do, sender will add 1 into that, it is I plus 1. So initially I value was 4, now it will become 5. So here congestion window size will be 5. So 5 packet will be sent. After receiving that 5 packet by the sender, receiver will acknowledge that 5 packets. Now the sender will increase that size of the window by again 1, let's say now 2. Now I plus 2. So initially was, let's say 5, it will become 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, is that added 1, then 6 packet will be sent. Then again the acknowledgement will send by the receiver to the sender. So in this way, initially it was 4, now it will become added 1, it will become 5, then it will become 6, it will become, let's say now 7. In this fashion, the additive increase is going to be measured. So okay, so here there is a formula available, and the value congestion window initially it was I plus 1, I plus 2, I plus 3. In this fashion, the the congestion control is going to be managed. So it is better than the previous one. There is a third policy, that is congestion detection, and it is also called as multiplicative decrease. When the congestion occur, the congestion window size must be decreased. It is definitely if the congestion is going to be occurred, so it is better to decrease that congestion window size so that the traffic on the network can be very slow, very low. But the only way a sender can guess that congestion has occurred is the need of retransmission a segment or retransmit a segment. Okay, it is but automatically decided by the TCP, that is retransmission. This is the major assumption made by the TCP. Retransmission is needed to recover the missing packets, which is assumed to have been dropped, that is lost, by the router that had too many incoming packets and had to drop a missing segment, that is router or maybe the network become the overloaded or congested. So it is better to analyze that traffic over the network, and that is automatically decided by the TCP, so that the overload can be reduced and congestion can be reduced. Then in this mechanism, guys, in the TCP implementation has a two reaction in this additive decrement. If the timeout occurs, the very first case is what, if the timeout occur, there is a stronger possibility of the congestion. The segment has probably been dropped in the network, and there is no news about the following sent segment. In this case, TCP reacts in three ways. Very first, it sets the value of threshold to half of the current window. Let's say if we have congestion window of 32, it is going to be divided by 2 and it will become 16. It is going to be drastically divide that value by 2, divided by 2, and it will become that value. Then second, it will react. It reduce congestion window back to one segment. It is also possible. And third mechanism, it start the slow start phase again, so that the the congestion can be increased, the congestion window size can be increased gradually. In the second case, if the three duplicate acknowledgements are received, this is what the second case. If the three duplicates acknowledgement have received, there will be weaker possibility of the congestion. So definitely, the congestion may have been dropped, but some segments after that have arrived safely, since three duplicate acknowledgements are received. This is called the fast transmission and the fast recovery. In this case, the TCP has a weaker reaction, and that as follow. The very first, it sets the value of the threshold to the half of the current window size. Initially, like what the previous one, it set the current congestion window to the value of threshold. Some implementation add three segment size to the threshold, and third will be it start the congestion avoidance phase. In these both the cases, they are TCP react in a different manner. Okay, in the timeout case, and the second will be the three duplicate acknowledgement case. Okay, so let's take the summary of this all the three policies we have discussed. Initially, let's say connection established over the network. So it is going to be start. After it is starting, let's say, then the policy will be there, that is congestion avoidance. After the congestion avoidance, then the connection termination can be happen. But mean, if this is what the ideal situation, if something goes wrong, let's say if there is a congestion occur over here, a congestion occur over here, while the three duplicate acknowledgement and three duplicate acknowledgement, so this is what the one case congestion, and second will be a timeout and timeout. In this case, and three duplicate acknowledgement congestion can be, let's say, in this, by this can be handled, and by reducing this, what we have decided, the value will be divided by 2, and that it is going to be again go to the start phase. Okay, in this timeout phase also, this is going to be also possible to handle that particular congestion. So this is what the diagram of the three policies we have discussed. Now in the last slide, what we have one graph and graph, let's say. So here, if you see, we have started with the slow start. Let's say initial value is 1, then we are increasing value. So this is what the slow start, and we reach it to the one some threshold, let's say 16. So after that, the the value is going to be additively increases, that is 1 1 1 1 1. Then again, if the timeout occur, so value will be again going to be, well, as per the formula, divided by 2. So here we are somewhere, let's say 20. So now multiplicative decrease is going to be occur. So we reach to the, let's say again 18. Again we are starting the slow start. We are reached to the, let's say threshold 8. Then again we are having the additive increment. We are reaching to over here. Then again we are dividing. Let's say here what we have, the value is 10. Now we are going to divide it by 2. So it will be, let's say 5. So we are over here. Then again we are increasing, and this fashion the congestion control can be handled. Okay, so we have discussed all three mechanisms over here: slow start, additive increase, and the multiplicative decrease, congestion policies, and congestion window also we have discussed, and the basic definition. And these figures are adapted from TCP/IP protocol suite 4th edition, whereas version. Okay, thank you guys. I hope your congestion control is understood by you. Thanks for watching this.